Hello everyone, I'm Susan Lee MacDonald and welcome back to my show, The Interview. My guest today is a creative designer known as Jung Ku-ho. He is a top fashion designer here in Korea, and recently he's made the bold transition from fashion design to dance choreography. It's very interesting why he's made this move, and I can't wait to ask him all about it. He's considered to have the Midas touch of design, so he's probably doing some magic in the world of dance choreography. Let's meet Jung Ku-ho for the interview right now. The iconic fashion designer Jung Ku-ho is the founder of KUHO, a fashion brand named after himself, and a creative director. The versatile artist and designer has transformed into a director for dance performances staged by the National Dance Company of Korea. Presenting a new form of dance aesthetics to the audience, Jung Ku-ho is garnering attention nationwide. Get ready to meet the man who masterminded the sensational dance piece 2 in 2. Ku-ho, I'd like to welcome you to the interview.
Thank you for inviting me over.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to get a chance to talk to you. You have quite a bio. You finished Parsons in New York City.
Yes.
You're a world-renowned fashion designer. In '97, you started your own brand called KUHO.
Yes.
And in 2003, a large corporation bought KUHO, and
Yes.
you started working with them for over 10 years, increasing sales more than almost $1 billion in sales. And you have also worked in film, not only in fashion design, but in film and costume design, and now doing performance production. And just, you've got a lot of things that you've done as a designer. How would you describe yourself?
I have no idea actually. I just do what I like to do, what I like to create. And because people always title me. I never titled myself before. I studied as a fashion designer, but along the way, people starting to calling me certainly creative director, production designer, art director. So all the names came from people. I didn't create my title. So I'm a very curious person. I like to do what I like to do and create something that I like to create. It's me.
So would you say that you're a designer at heart or a creator at heart?
More like a creator in heart, yes. It's, for me, it's all the same work. I mean, process of work in my head is all the same. And what I believe, my philosophy is all the same. But it's just showing different way of showing it.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Okay.
It's really interesting that you've transitioned from working as a fashion designer and that type of design to performance art. Tell us about this new project that you're involved in.
I was doing this performance work since like 15 years ago, even before when I started fashion design, because I met this wonderful choreographer from New York who is An Sung-soo. I'm still doing the work with him, but the work that I'm doing at the moment is, we call it 2 in 2.
2 in 2.
Yes. And actually, there was a dance performance about 15 years ago. We call it in Korea Chohyeon, which is surreal. And we had that performance with 2 great ballerina who just came back from Russia doing the school. And we found these 2 beautiful like dancer, and we were so happy to work with those two girls. So we created this small performance work, and we loved that so much. So we want to do that again in a different way. And we're honored to have them back, and they've been one of the symbolic person in ballet. And I grow myself. Also, Mr. An grow himself. So I love to get back together and show what we have done already, and getting into new project.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell me about the story of the performance.
Because 2 in 2 is all about relationship between two. It doesn't have to be person to person. It can be person to person, relationship between music to music, and me and An, Mr. An, and Miss Kim and another Miss Kim. Also, there's 2 other wonderful modern dance dancers, the male dancers. So it's like there's 2 couples performing at the same time. So one couple versus the other couple. So it's like all relationship between 2 different things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So 2 ballerinas and 2
Modern
men from the modern dance tradition.
Yes.
So that must have been somewhat interesting to coordinate their dance styles too.
Yes, of course. Obviously, the choreographer is done by Mr. An, but it's very interesting combination based on like a very classic ballet training and like a very formal like modern dance training. It's watching them dancing together is very interesting combination actually.
Interesting.
And also we're using 2 different music. One is tango, one is flamenco music, which
very
is
passionate music.
Yes,
Wow.
which is 2 gypsy music one from Europe, one from South America. So it's a different relationship between 2 different things.
Interesting. As one of the top designers in Korea, no doubt, but also worldwide, you must really get a lot of people who are asking you about how it is you get your inspiration. I'm sure you get that question a lot.
I know.
But given that now you are working with performance art, which is somewhat of a departure from what you've done before, what kind of advice do you give to people when you say that, this is how you get your inspiration?
Every time I do interview, that's the question that people are asking me, but it's very difficult to answer because inspiration comes from everywhere actually. I mean, nicely I can say it came from art exhibition and architect, but it's not only that, just living in life, talking to somebody, just walking on the street, and reading some books. I mean, every source of a thinking process is inspiration for me. So it's not, I cannot say exactly what, but only I can say is be curious. Be curious about everything, the things around yourself, things around the people. If you're being too curious, then there's something that you want to create, at least.
Now, where do you think that curiosity stems from?
I don't know, I just born with a curiosity, but I mean, I was a very kid who always daydream. So I don't listen to my teacher's lecture. I was always daydreaming for myself, so they are always talking to me. You have to focus on class and whatever, but when I start daydreaming something, then I go into the like really big wormhole of daydreaming and get into the very in detail. If I suddenly wants to start create some performance, then I go from A to G. And I never stop my thinking process.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you are so creative and that your work is shown in many different types of ways, there has to be some genesis. And the fact that you said that you daydream a lot,
Yes,
would you say that daydreaming is a good thing then?
Yeah, for me it's a very good thing because before I write something, before I put down on the work, daydream process starts first. If I have to complete my daydreaming before I start something on the paper or talking to people.
See. Now, as the performance director, here we are exactly where they do the performance, right? So tell me about this unusual, beautiful kind of white circle that we're sitting on top of.
Yes. Because when me and Mr. An first started Surreal, the project, we are focused on limitation and perspective in a way.
Okay.
Because on the stage, the whole full stage are too limitless. They can be so freely move around, but we want to give them some limitations. So we started as a 3 meter square stage on top of another stage. So brought that idea to this idea. This is a 9 meter like a circle. So dancers only dance in 9 meter circle, and all the lighting is happening in 9 meter circle also.
Now, why did you decide to do a circle for them to dance?
Because before was very too rigid kind of a square for the two ladies.
Okay.
I want every different people, different things can be in this circle, mix around, combine together to show different form of the art in a way. So this circle holds any kind of character, any kind of personality, any type of style.
Interesting. Now, what is your main thoughts behind how to present the kind of performance?
Especially for this 2 in 2, I just want to show the art of modern dance. Because sometimes like modern dance performance, there is something more than dance. Because they're trying to be very different. They're trying to combine with a different field, collaboration. This collaboration is so hard these days. But because of that, sometimes you lose the origin of the dance itself. But so this performance is focused on beautiful dance itself. That's why we have to use real professional dancer, the top of the top, and giving them a wonderful atmosphere with the lighting and the music to let them dance as much as they can do. So if audience can really enjoy the art form of the modern dance in a way.
I'm curious why you chose modern dance as opposed to so many other kinds.
I know it's a lot of experimentation, but sometimes experimentation is good, but I like to keep the original way. What's important, what's the value is about the modern dance. So this performance is about that matter.
Wonderful. Now, you said earlier that 15 years ago you had done a performance, and now here we are 15 years later. Now, what are some of the things that have changed in your ability to do the performance directing and design?
At that time, whenever I try to do something different, people telling me that you don't know about dance, you don't know about this, you are the newcomers, and it was very hard to explain them about my idea, persuade them about my ideas. But now it's okay. All the communication is very, very convenient. People listen to me. They respect, and not only me, but Mr. An and every other dancers. They become a top already. So it's very comfortable in the working process in a way.
Now, does that ever frustrate you when people say things like, well, you're a fashion designer, why are you doing performance art, or you should be doing this, and they want to put you in a box?
I know.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, I do understand their opinion, because obviously I do sort of getting into some other people's field in a way. But I
Are
don't.
they threatened, do you think? Maybe?
Sometimes they do, because sometimes he was calling like a theater that why are you only playing his performance, like he's doing too much performance in the year or whatever. But one day they will understand what I'm standing for. I'm not trying to steal their job or stealing their work. I just trying to show different way of performance, different way of showing creativity. So from that they can get some ideas, more different ideas. They can influence by what we are doing it. So I'm doing something, I mean, some sort of some distribution to the field. Always feel like it. So I wish they can be more friends to me.
You know, my guess is that because you have design and creativity at the core, you have many different ways you can show that. But you probably operate and do things a bit differently than people who maybe only do this kind of work, because you have a very diverse background.
Yes.
So what are some things that you think you bring into performance design that maybe other people may not have had that opportunity?
Of course. I mean, it really helps me creating something else, because I was working in very different field. Also, I was working in corporate for 10 years. And in the corporation, of course, I learned all this perfect system of how things work together, working process. And by doing all this different field daydreaming for me, my idea become more broader than regular limited background, like a specialist. Like when I think about performance, I don't think about stage in the beginning. I just thinking about some movie story, the visualization that I like to visual, and trying to get that into stage instead of thinking about the stage process. So maybe the starting work thinking process could be different from other people. Maybe that's why I'm suggesting very awkward, I mean unordinary ideas to the like theater steps. Sometimes they don't understand what I'm talking about. They think it's impossible sometimes. But my thinking process is possible. So trying to execute 100% of my daydreaming process. That's my goal. Trying to understand, make them understand my daydreaming.
You know, that's really fascinating that you say that, because you're not limited by the constraints of a stage, right? And that you, with your daydreaming, with your imagining, you start from everything is possible and you try to make it possible. Right?
Because I always think that if there is 3 specialists in the same spot, nothing can be impossible. From those 3 specialists, we can create anything we like to create. We can help from somebody, we can help from someone, I mean some place. I mean, why not? Why not trying to do something different, something else?
Now, we will talk a little bit more about your background as a fashion designer, but before we get to that, I want to ask you, what would be the differences of creating a performance on a stage, which we're on now, versus the runway? Because that's also a different kind of performance,
it's
right?
very different. I mean, it's the same thinking process, but it's very different. Runway is only lasts for longest 7 minutes. You work for 6 months to show 7 minutes. Sometimes it feels so sad just showing 7 minutes. But that's something that you want to show them what I did for last 6 months. This is what I'm gonna go for next 6 months. In 7 minutes, you have to catch them, and I have to sell it. The selling point are very important for the runway, but stage works are not just selling something, it's just sharing ideas and let people share what I'm thinking of. And they can, if they want to see it again, they can come back and see it anytime. If we want to redo the performance, we can always redo the performance. If we want to fix the performance, we can always fix the performance. It adds more easy to it. Yes.
I see. So there are some substantial differences.
Of course.
Wow. Now, which do you prefer?
I cannot say one by the other, but I like both actually. The runway has a real excitement, very short excitement. After runway, I just pass out almost.
I imagine the preparation for the
Yes,
runway, all that adrenaline.
Intense, yes. If you make any mistake in that 7 minutes, 6 months of your work is gone. But performance, even if there's a small mistake, it's allowable because we can redo it again. So I like both actually.
Now switching topics just a little bit, we really want to get into the nitty-gritty of you having been one of the top fashion designers here in Korea and worldwide. You're quite well known with the KUHO brand.
Yes.
Now your name obviously is KUHO. Is it the same name? Is there a different meaning? Same meaning?
No, it's the same name. My name is created by my grandfather who passed away before. And I like my name. I like my name more than my last name. So some designers they use their last name for the brand, but I like to use my first name for the brand. So.
And what does KUHO mean?
Actually, it has very strong meaning. It's like a saving the sky or something like that, spiritually.
Wow.
I have no idea why he gave me such a big name, but I have no idea.
Well, he had hopes and dreams for you, and you're conquering and taking the sky.
I just like the pronunciation.
And now with your design brand, KUHO, do you feel like you've kind of reached the sky?
No, not really. Actually, in Korea, we don't have such a thing as a design house as much as Europe and Asia, America, who keep the name value of the brand for a long period of time, because when designer passed away, the brand disappears. So I wish that the brand KUHO could be long lasting, like one of the first design house brand remains as like that. Yes.
Now, what types of apparel does KUHO have?
KUHO is women's wear targeting for women in 30s mainly, and focus on like modern, innovative style. Yes.
Now, from a lot of the footage that I've seen of KUHO, it's very minimalist and kind of avant-garde. I love those designs. I love the clean lines.
Because I always focus on avant-garde design. I was fascinated by all the avant-garde designers in 90s. So the avant-garde is something that I always focus on, but I don't want to show it very in loud way, but very minimal way of avant-garde. Yeah.
Now, what exactly is the appeal of doing women's wear for women in their 30s? Like, why not a younger crowd or an older crowd?
I don't know, I like the woman, I like stubborn, mature woman. Someone who stuck to what they believe in. So they don't follow the trend very easily. Someone who has their own philosophy, their goal, their job, and so I like very stubborn woman in 30s who just start their work. They're trying to create their field for their life. So that's the target that I'm focused on.
Now, before you became a fashion designer, when you were just a kid, did you think at that time that you would want to go into fashion design?
No, actually. The first dream that I had was to being a pianist. I loved playing piano. I started learning piano with my sister when I was 8 years old, I think.
Oh, very young.
And my sister didn't want to learn, but I loved to learn. But my father was very conservative that he said, after 2 months, you learn enough for men. Focus on your study. But anyway, I learned behind him a little while. But eventually he caught me learning piano when I was in high school. So I had to stop at that time.
Wow.
So after that, my second dream was being a sculptor. I loved making something. So I make something and put it in my room and draw something hanging on the wall in my room. And after I come back from school, it all disappeared.
Really? Where'd it go?
My father also, he starts throwing away because I'm doing something else rather than studying.
Oh.
But I was keep doing it anyway. Yeah, I also very stubborn student.
A little rebellious spirit,
and
yes.
I was keep drawing and making things. And one day, one of my mother's friend came to see my work because she was an artist at that moment, and she saw me show my little talents in making things. So actually she talked to my father to let me study art and design, actually.
Now, how did that go over? I mean, it sounds like your father loved you very much, but was very conservative.
He didn't talk to me for years. After he said, okay, you can do whatever you want to do, and then he didn't talk to me for 1 year. And then I decided to study in US, and my father did all this process. And eventually when I got to Texas in the beginning, actually he put me in a business school instead of art school.
Really?
Yeah, so I have to be in business school for 6 months. After that I transfer without telling him.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm keep fighting for what I want to do.
Wow. You know, it seems to me
Until
that
now,
for people who really succeed at whatever they do, it has to have an internal drive. Like, you have to have that.
I'm a very quiet fighter. I don't really yell out what I want to do. I just do quietly.
Wow. Your story of becoming a fashion designer is so interesting because you took kind of a circuitous route to getting to that. And I'm curious how you got your start as a fashion designer once you decided that's what you want to do.
I mean, clothes can make people really totally different. Depends on what you wear. Can create your own character, personality. So I'm fascinated with the fashion at that time, and at that time in New York was like a hot period of the fashion, of course, at the end of 90s. So I have to be able to see all the wonderful designers' clothes and wants to be a fashion designer. So after I came back to Korea, I just decided to be a fashion designer. So I took some classes from Esmo Seoul and just basic process. But the thing that I can be able to become a fashion designer was because throughout the 10 years in New York, I watched so much designers like designer's clothes in process. I even memorized one by one piece what kind of clothes was there. They gave me a broad, like sort of a reference to the brand that I wanted to do. So I just opened the brand for my own.
That takes a lot of initiative and risk and boldness to do that.
But I mean, that's the thing that I want to do. So why don't you take a risk? Every process, every work has a risk. So something you want to do, of course.
It seems to me you're the type of person that if you really want to do something, you're going to find a way to get it done.
Yes.
Am I right?
I don't afraid to start something new. I don't worry about the risk. But risk, I mean, of course, you always have a 50-50 chance. If you have a 50 chance, there's a big chance. So why don't you take it? If we cannot do it, well, we'll find some other way to do it. But I never afraid to start anything new.
You had your own brand starting in '97, and then in 2003 you joined with a large conglomerate, and for 10 years really built your business more than 10 times its size. Is that right?
Yes.
There must have been a big shift in the way that you kind of work because you were with a large corporation, or did things stay the same in some ways?
No, it's actually because we have a huge difference. Because when I work in a boutique, I only focus on certain people who like to see my work in that small store. But when I work in the process, of course, you have to come up with you have to think about the profit for the corporation, and you have to meet so many different customers all around the Korea. So they have a different taste. So you have to find the like a common general taste of the clothes that I have to show. That's a different process, but somehow I learned to negotiate myself in certain point, because I mean, not only showing it to just small portion of people. If I can show my work to many general people, it could be more useful. I mean, they can understand more. They can know my philosophy of work. So it's a different negotiation, but I was very happy working in a big system, actually.
I see.
Yes.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you was that you helped to design the figure skating champion Kim Yeon's special outfit for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics presentation.
Yes.
Tell me about how you got that call and what kind of thing you designed for her.
She's like a princess of the nation, But one day they called me because that convention was a really important convention for the Pyeongchang. And she wants to dress very formally, but still have an image of that princessness there. So I had a meeting with Yuna, and she wants to look very mature, formal, compared to what she's been looking. So, but still has to look pretty from my point of view. So that I came up with a cape jacket, which looks very formal, but still have those princess images of her.
What was it like working with her?
She was very professional, actually. She knows exactly how she wants to look, and she understands what I want to show her, and how I want her to look. So it was very easy, very fast, quick meetings without any argument. So it was very easy for me to work with her, and very good opportunity to work with her, to dress her.
Were you satisfied with the outcome?
Oh yes, actually I did, and she did a great lecture there, speeches there with the clothes. It looked it holds together for me. I think.
That's fantastic. You've worked with celebrities, you've worked with Kim Yuna, you've worked with all kinds of body types and shapes and sizes. Is there some advice that you could give women when they're dressing about how to make the best of whatever they are, looking like?
Yes, I mean, after I start fashion design, I find out that how can be so much body shape in women's. There's so many different body shape, and there's not one single body is equal to the other. But I don't know whether this makes sense or not. But I always talk to the woman, if you want to dress well, you have to try different clothes more. I'm not telling them to buy different clothes. It's going to cost a lot of money. But in the boutique shop, in the fashion store, you can wear as much as you want. Nobody will kick you out. Trying different clothes, type of clothes. So you should expose to the many different style of clothes. You see how it looks on your body. Digesting the style is more important than looking great. So when I see the woman walking down the street, I don't want to see the clothes first. I want to see them as a whole picture. If you wear some dresses and just only the dresses shows, then I don't think you did the right dress. The clothes and person has to be equally well balanced to create your own personal character. And that's the best way to dress yourself, I think.
That's fantastic. Well, if there's ever a time that I need some serious fashion design advice, which is almost every day, I should come and talk to you.
Anytime, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's so fun talking to you, KUHO, about your philosophy and how you talk about daydreaming, because that is something that I think a lot of people might miss out on in a regular kind of job, right? They're taught to focus on something and to be productive, but you've really gained a lot of success by daydreaming. Is this something that you recommend to people who want to become designers?
Yes. I mean, these days, everybody gets a lot of stress from their work, from their relationship, whatever. But daydreaming is most helpful way to solve your stress. In a daydreaming, there's no limitation. There's nobody that you dislike there. You can imagine anything you want, anything that you like. You can daydream. So it's a very helpful process to release your stress. So I like people to daydream a lot.
That's fantastic. Maybe it's because of that daydreaming and because of that creativity that you've also been recognized for your work. Aside from being a top fashion designer and performance director, you've also won some significant awards in the field of fashion design and design. And these are awards that many people, even who've been in the industry for a long time, haven't gotten. Can you tell us a little bit about these awards?
Luckily, yes, we got a first Fashion Director Awards in Asia or something like that, and some of the awards from the film as a costume designer, art director. But for the film, when I first did the film, every people in the film business they was saying that he's just doing it for promote his brand, and he doesn't know anything about movies. So I was telling for myself, you will see, I'll get the award at the end. So after 5 years later, I got the award actually.
Wow.
But I mean, I don't do anything lightly. If I decide to do something, I go into huge amount of effort to get things done, to make it perfect. So those always some, what can I say, some prod to the work that I did from the people. Yeah.
Because of your creativity and because of your being a designer and also in performance, I'm sure that a lot of people have many different kinds of expectations of you. Do you ever feel the pressure or the burden of having to outdo what you've done before?
Yes, every time, whenever I do something, they'll probably expect something new or great, or but yeah, it gave me a lot of pressure. But only thing I can really, I can do from that pressure is do my best for my job, do my best effort to the job that I do. That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah. Now, what are some of your future plans going forward?
I have like this year, I have 4 more big dance performance coming up.
Wow.
In April, in June, September, December. And other than that, I have a little other project which I cannot tell you now.
Oh,
but
really?
there's a couple of interesting projects happening.
Fantastic.
Not in performance, but different field.
Well, I
looking
can't wait
forward
to find out about it more later. You sure can't give us a little hint?
Maybe involving a little bit in a movie film business, or some of the different experimental process. Yes, I can say.
Okay, all right. Now, last but not least, to you, what is design?
Designing is something that I create a new world and new vision of the world that I'm thinking of. It's like in my head, there's many different vision of the world, vision of the images that I want to show people. So designing is showing my vision of a different way of looking at the world for myself.
Wonderful. Cool. It's been such a joy to have you on my show
Thank
and
you.
to
Thank
be able to
you.
pick the brain of a true design guru like yourself. And I just wanted to thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for inviting me over in such a nice program.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Well, we're close to the end of the interview, but I definitely want to see the practice of the performance.
Of course.
So I guess we'll probably move on back there. But I'm really looking forward to seeing everything get set up.
Of course. You'll see the whole rehearsal.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yay. I met with artistic director Jung Ku-ho and choreographer An Sung-soo during rehearsal to talk to them about 2 and 2, a dance piece they are directing together.
여기 안무가 안 선생님이요.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요, 선생님.
반갑습니다.
네, 저도요. 아주 기대를 많이 하고 있습니다, 선생님.
우리나라에서 제일 유명한 발레리나 2분이에요.
남자분들 좀 소개시켜 주시죠.
남자분들은 우리나라에서 제일 유명한
현대무용수. 현대무용수.
현대무용수들.
예.
During the performance, the stage was shared by 2 of the most celebrated ballerinas in Korea, Kim Ju-won and Kim Ji-young, and 2 up-and-coming male modern dancers, Kim Bo-ram and Jang Kyung-min.
정말 어떤 면에서는 그 스포츠에서 올스타 플레이 하는 것처럼
네.
올스타 작품이에요, 이거 정말. 그래서 무용수 전체가 정말 스타 무용수들이고 최고의 테크니션들이고 거기에다가 이제 안 선생님이 정말 할 수 있는 모든 정말 난이도 높은 거를 같이 볼 수 있다는 거 쉽지 않은 거니까.
2 and 2 is divided into 1 act and 7 scenes, each demonstrating contrasting elements such as black and white, man and woman, and tango and flamenco. The complex male-female dynamic is expressed in diverse forms of dance that are sultry and intense at times and fun and delicate at others. Every element of this dance piece is an embodiment of Jung Ku-ho's artistic vision.
the superstitious jinx that I have. I really don't have jinx, because some people say you shouldn't take a shower or shave your beard before do some good thing. But when I start things, I have to clean shower, I have to do clean shave, and everything has to be organized. So actually, no, not really. Yeah, not really. Advantage of my heritage, I can only think about it because all my families are in different fields. They are in law or doctor, government worker. None of them in my families are in art or design field. I'm the only one, the black sheep of the family. So I don't know what kind of gene that I get this from. I mean, from who, which heritage, I don't know. But it happened suddenly. Maybe in my ancestors, some period has the same gene as I have, maybe. So I have no idea. Oh, actually, it was great time. I enjoyed. I was a little bit nervous because it's been more than 10 years ever since I left US. So my English has been very rusty and losing all this vocabulary in my head. So I was a little bit worried, but you make me very comfortable. I had a great time here. I talked to people, and I hope the many people around the world who can have a chance to be more interested in Korea, maybe.
The complex male-female dynamic is expressed in diverse forms of dance that are sultry and intense at times and fun and delicate at others. Every element of this dance piece is an embodiment of Jung Ku-ho's artistic vision. Today I've had the great fortune of getting to meet Jung Ku-ho, the fashion designer turned performance director. His interview was definitely eye-opening because he uses daydreaming as a way to really get creative. I think that we're all inspired by him, aren't we? Now, thank you so much for being a part of the interview, and we hope that you'll join us on our Arirang website to re-watch our show as well as our YouTube site. So we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.